Hey everybody, this is Jo. I'm here in Houston and I'm going to show you this monarch real quick before I go. I think this is a resident monarch. Hopefully he's on his way to Mexico, but I bet here at sort of in the middle of October that he's on his way to Mexico. He may be a resident monarch, but ain't he pretty? I am in Houston, and I'm going to show you around. I'm going to show you my whole garden, front and back. The front is kind of it's a bit of a jumble at this point, but you can see what has gone completely bonkers is this gomphrena, and oh my word, isn't it fantastic? And I wanted to show you, okay, so this little business, this is frog fruit, a little native Texas ground cover, and then coming up through it is a little native aster, and it's kind of tall, and it just planted itself here, and I wish I had a whole bunch more of it, but it's just starting to come into seed. Look how pretty. Pale, pale purple. And the gomphrena fest here. And then this is a Greg's mist flower, so pretty, and I've seen that monarchs on that a lot. That's one of their favorites. Lots of things are super overgrown. This gomphrena, I'm telling you, this grew from seed. All of this volunteered from last year. I might have picked one up and moved it a foot over, or I transplanted a lot, but basically this put itself here from last year, and I love it. It doesn't need water. It doesn't mind. There's my little guy again. It does not mind the heat at all. I don't water it. And then I've got this little, they need deadheading very badly. Pardon me, wasp man. These are little profusion zinnias, and they obviously need deadheading, but you can look at how many seeds you can get out of, one flower. So I'm in my seed collecting stage of the year. This needs a lot of work. Oh, here's one different kind of gomphrena, different color. See, it's got a different shaped leaf than this big fat leaf. I love the color of this one. I hadn't noticed that until literally today. This is the late afternoon, so I've got a Texas rock rose, which is all covered up, but it's kind of getting, I don't know, powdery mildew or something. It's kind of crummy. So I'm considering giving that a big chop. It has been hot as the dickens, y'all. It has been so hot and miserable. It has not cooled off, even though it's October. Last week it was 96 degrees out here. It's been pretty miserable. And so I haven't gotten to plant really anything new, much new. I don't know why this is sort of dead here, but this is Salvia farinaceae, which is the native mealy blue sage, native to Texas. And I just keep deadheading and it keeps blooming. It looks good. If it wasn't quite so hot, I would cut this back much harder. Right now I'm just keeping it deadheaded. And then this wonderful Gora. And this was sort of interesting. Sorry, airplane. This is a native Texas plant. I love this plant. This one planted itself here. This is the mama plant. And it got a little ratty in the middle of the summer. And so I trimmed it back and I just cut all the flowering stems off. And I thought, well, it'll come back out, flesh back out with a new set of flowers, and it just didn't. I don't know why, but I'm bummed that I cut that back. I do have tons of dwarf Barbados cherry blooming, and this blooms off and on all year, but it seems very happy, and lots of flowers. And then look, these are the beginnings of the little cherries, and those will turn red, and that's food for birds. Oh, here's a red one right here. Look at that. Yay! So I hope a little bird finds that. And then speaking of native Texas plants, this is horse herb. It's a ground cover. You could walk on that and you'll never hurt it. My yard guy that comes for a couple of hours once a month was like, you know, this is a weed, and I'm like, I know, leave it anyway. But it just showed up. But that's a native plant. And then again, I trimmed this Gora back, and it just, whoa, you know, got one flower that came back. It looks terrible. I'm not sure why. And then back here, this is Walter's Viburnum, which blooms on and off all year long. And this is Walter's Viburnum. It looks really beautiful. And I think you can really trim it into the shape that you want. Of course, got these all three on the same day. Planted them 3 feet apart. This one's big and beautiful. This one, half dead. I need to cut that out. And this one is all sort of flopped over. So, I mean, honestly, you know, you never know when you're a gardener, you have to like brace yourself for stuff to just do dumb things like that. Like, why are these all, why does one look good and the rest are dead? This is porterweed. Look how awesome. And this is, I think this is 3 plants, huge porterweed. And this is a big draw for lots of pollinators. And I've had hummingbirds come through. We've been watching them migrate. Today, I swear, is the first day I haven't seen a hummingbird in the first 20 minutes. I was outside. I haven't seen any today, which is strange. So maybe they've gone through. Here is a dwarf Salvia leucantha. If you've watched for a long time, you know I tried this out. It kind of looks okay in the spring, and then is never pretty. It doesn't fall over. And it does bloom in the spring if you want. Now, granted, it hasn't rained. We are in a flash drought, and so it's been horrible. And I can set the sprinklers off and come out, and you know, when they're the next morning, and it's still just dry as a bone. But I may pull this out. I am not impressed with the dwarf Salvia leucantha, other than it stays small. Here I've got lots of that. Dwarf Barbados cherry, and in amongst I have let Gomphrena. This is sort of that taller, goofier shape. I think this one is called Fireworks, maybe. And I let that kind of flesh out and come through there, showing some more flowers. This little scruffy business, this is Jewels of Opar, which is native to Texas. And I trimmed it back really hard. And it does, if you trim it, it will come back with tons of new little bloom spikes. I did plant 3 new little plants. I thought it was gonna cool off. I was delusional. This is a Salvia Gregii. It's hot pink, so it's a cultivar. But I've been watering these things every single day just to keep them alive. And then I've trimmed a lot of things back. It looks pretty nice back in the back. It looks all right. This thing is like Cousin It. Something is overtaken. It doesn't matter how many times I cut back the sweet potato vine to give the blue Cape Plumbago some room. In another 2 weeks, it's covered it up again. Here are the big pentas, the big heritage pentas, and they're looking nice. It's scruffy, but I'm working on cutting it back without killing it and getting it to fluff out. And then y'all, okay, in another week, this is fragrant mist flower, and it is getting ready to pop. Now, I had a huge rose bush just up and die on me this summer. And so now this has all the space it really wants and the light that it really wants. And so I think this is going to be pretty spectacular, and I know that this is a favorite of butterflies, so I'm excited to see what happens with that one. Okay, let me take you around to the back. So the front is kind of scruffy, y'all, but it's alive. This side, now in a couple of weeks, which is shocking that it's going to be that fast, we're going to tear all of this out. We had a tree die here a year ago. And we're going to take all of this non-native ground cover out, all of it. And we are going to replace a tree, and I'm going to put a native ground cover. I'm not sure, it might be that frog fruit. I just let it come over. And then I'm going to pull all of this out. I'm going to give away a bunch of bulbs, a bunch of big crinum lilies, and I'll move some things. I might leave, I've got some plumbago here. I've got the blue, and then I've got some white down there, sort of mixed in. And this is a pink fire spike, which never blooms like the week it freezes every year. And I think that this shrimp plant was a lot happier when I had a tree there and it was shady. So my plan is to rip all of this out, everything from there, all the ground cover and all of this. And maybe I'll leave this and give things away. Oh, here's Buttercup. Hey, buddy. Can I say hi, everybody? Oh, show you how so handsome. So handsome. So that's going to happen on the 1st of November. So I'm excited about that. Although I'm worried that it's still going to be too hot to be planting a tree. Okay, continue walking, sir. You're in my way. You're in my way. So helpful. So helpful. Yeah. Yeah. You're very helpful. So the other thing I'm going to do is that, you know, my color scheme, if you know me, my color scheme is pink, purple, blue, white. Look at him. Don't you catch that butterfly. He loves to chase butterflies. I've seen him catch butterflies before and it scares him and he lets them go. I'm going to allow hot flowers. So I have an idea of sort of lots of colors, but having a lot of purple, a lot actually of that Salvia farinacea, which is called mealy blue sage, but it's purple in my opinion. Purple and orange and some yellow. And also I have one plant that, you know, it says it's red, but it was blooming when I bought it and it looked kind of orange to me. And so I'm going to put it here. It's going to get kind of big. Here is my neglected vine. This is a passion vine, passion flower vine, which I'm growing. Last year I had Gulf fritillary caterpillars just eat it down to absolutely nothing. And I haven't had a single caterpillar out here, I don't think, the whole time. I think I've gotten eggs and then never saw a caterpillar. And so this just looks terrible. This is the least fun part, and so I'm just ignoring it. I've still got my stash of things. I bought a lot of stuff, and H-E-B, if you're in Texas, H-E-B sells a lot of native Texas plants. And so for $6, look at that. Look how gorgeous that is for $6, mealy blue sage, right? And so go to H-E-B. And I have learned that not every H-E-B has it, but it's worth it for $6 for something that looks that good. Because I paid $4, this is the same plant, $4 at Buchanan's Native Plants for that the same week, right? So I think I paid $3.99 for that, $6 even. So go to H-E-B. Here's one of the things, it's just blooming. I'm going to show it to you. I showed it to you last week. This is the Lindheimer's Senna that I'm going to plant. My Senna plant died. This is the native one. And look at that. It's kind of gotten, that flower's a little bit over, but so pretty. And these are fuzzy little leaves. I am crazy about this plant. Now, the internet said it's not going to get more than about 4 feet tall, but one of my viewers was like, yeah, it's going to get bigger than that. So I'm going to put it where I plan to put it, but it may be crowded a little bit. And then I've got some things, like I got this for Camp Allen. They have one going, but you know, they have somebody that takes care of it, but it's 50 miles away from me. So I'll get out there every 6 weeks if I'm lucky. And so, you know, a garden that you see every 6 weeks, even though it's got sprinklers and it's got somebody that'll come and weed a little bit, it's not the same. It's not getting the same TLC. So I happen to know, because my husband was there and sent pictures, that this Salvia leucantha out at camp is kind of ratty looking. And so I thought I would add to it a little bit. And I got tons of stuff for camp still that I bought last week, 2 weeks ago, and have not brought it up there. It's too hot. It's just too hot. And I kept expecting it to cool off, and it has not. Okay, all my little stuff has popped up. I'm so excited. The thing I was surprised at, look at this flame acanthus. Look how they did really well. And all of this is Coreopsis grandiflora, which is a native Coreopsis. I need to sort of separate those. A bunch of them came up together. There's some native milkweed, and then this is a Rudbeckia cherry brandy. That was an old seed packet, and I think it was too old because not a single thing has come up. This I'm surprised at. This is Zexmenia. There are like 2 Zexmenia seeds in every single cell of this flat, and I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a weed. So I'm super bummed. I don't know why they're not coming up. And then I have not done this before. This is Salvia farinaceae that I just gathered seed from the yard. It's such tiny seeds that I put it in, and then I put some gravel to sort of give the seeds some little crags to hold on to. And everything wants to come up in my gravel anyway, so I thought I would give that a try. And I know that's something when I watch Gardener's World, they put grit on top of a lot of their seedlings or their seeds. And I looked it up. You know, you can't go to an American garden center and just say, I need some grit. So I really looked up. And so what is similar to grit that you would buy in a British garden center, they recommended decomposed granite as one of the choices. Well, I got this, you know, I got buckets of this stuff. And so that's what I've used as the grit. Of course, again, my the garden is being held down by Gomphrena. Fabulous. And more, this blue, I'm gonna climb back here a little bit. Of course, everything here, this is all in the gravel. I mean, this is bane of my existence, but everything in the gravel is beautiful, so I leave it, but it's not convenient. Look at this Cape Plumbago, huge. I've let it climb up into a mostly dead rose bush. I might have pulled that bush out by now if this wasn't climbing in it and looking so pretty. And then look at all of this, all that pink. Gomphrena looks so good. And then I have a lot of echinacea. It's not blooming, but it's alive, and hopefully it will maybe bloom later in the fall or in the spring. We'll see. But I'm happy about that, happy with it. And then here's this wonderful Duranta with its little golden berry. And this is what I still see. I still see the most pollinators on all day long. Look at that, gorgeous. And I have deadheaded. I try to leave the ones, if they have berries, I'll try to leave it because the birds will eat those. But I have found that, like, see, I deadheaded here, and I've got 2 new little bloom spikes right there. And so, like this one, I've deadheaded here, but there aren't any berries on that, and so I'll probably go ahead and cut that back and see. It will continue to bloom, and deadheading really does well. It does well, deadheading. Oh, sorry, I've got a helicopter. I've got a little sorry about that. A little blue plumbago here, looking really pretty. Lots of other random stuff in there. A different kind of Gomphrena. This is that one with smaller leaves, and it has done great in the gravel. I would love it if it was in the flower bed, but it seems really happy here, so I left it. And I bought some pentas just to sparkle up this little space. This is where my fennel is that looks so ratty. But I've got a lot of new baby fennel. I threw a bunch of seeds out here, and I've got lots of new fennel, and hopefully it'll look nicer when it cools off, if it ever does. But I wanted a nice pop of color right there, kind of in a space where this is filled in. It looks nice, but it was kind of ratty over here, kind of scruffy. Of course, more here. I did have a ton. I had a Monarch egg bomb, my aquatic milkweed, and we counted 37 caterpillars. I saw one chrysalis because it was on a flower pot, and I happened to walk by when the Monarch had been out for a little bit, and its wings were deformed, and so it probably was infected with OE, which is a parasite. You might, if you're interested, sort of give that a Google. So this all got chomped. This was all pretty milkweed a couple weeks ago, and so it's now starting to pop back up. And look, that is a milkweed beetle. It's not. That's sort of a juvenile. Right, he's yellow, but usually they're sort of reddish orange. Look away; they will ruin your milkweed, and so they don't get to live in my garden. I love all bugs, but not those. Again, I tell you this every single week for like a year. Look at that Mexican hat. Gosh, I mean, oh, makes me so happy. So beautiful. Okay, I moved my succulent theater back out. It's been mostly 90. It did get up to 96 earlier, beginning of last week, but it is it's cooled off enough that I put my succulents back out, and then I sprinkled wildflower seeds in amongst the flowers. I put bluebonnet seeds and what else did I put in there? Larkspur. I did not think about the fact that I have a guy, a mow and blow guy that comes and mows the front yard, and he just blows leaves off the path out here, and he probably blew all of my seeds, Lord knows where. So I didn't think about that. This is Retail Therapy. This wonderful calancho. Look how pretty. I cannot pass this up. If you are in Houston, Cornelius Nursery always has calanchos, and yeah, I have kind of a weakness. And look, oh my gosh, look how fast. Okay, I'm telling you, there was not a leaf left. Now down here I had a few leaves. There was not a leaf on this 10 days ago, and it's all popping back, and this one's already trying to bloom. Now this is also a milkweed bug, but he's fine. They love milkweed, and they will, I think they're, okay, yes, hello. I don't really want you on me. That wasn't really my plan, sir. Can you, okay, thank you. They will, I think I read that their babies eat milkweed seeds. So a lot of times if I have a milkweed pod that's already cracked, if I take it off and pop it open, there's just a jillion tiny little beetles in there, but they won't hurt your milkweed. And so don't stomp these. Stomp the little round ones. They're very much the same color scheme. Now the one I showed you was yellow, but the grown-up ones are very much the same color scheme, but the other ones are round. They look like giant ladybugs. These little guys, they won't hurt your milkweed. So, and same with aphids. Just leave them on your milkweed. They will not hurt your milkweed at all. I definitely have thrips. One of you viewers helped me really look closer, and I've had a lot of trouble. My roses tried to bloom, and I've got a lot of thrips. They're all pooped out now. It's too dry. It's too hot and it's too dry. But I think I've got a thrip problem. Here's another giant mat of horse herb, and I really like it. Yeah. Okay, Blackfoot daisy. I had some. I accidentally pulled some up. I thought it was it kind of flops over, and so there was a piece that looked dead, and I yanked it. Well, there was no going back. Once it's 100 million degrees outside and you pull something up accidentally, you're not getting it back on the ground. So again, HEB had gorgeous ones. I bought some from this little scruffy one here. This is new. Is from Buchanan's Native Plants. That's fine. Half the price. Look at that one from HEB. So go to HEB, y'all. Beautiful. So I'm trying to fill this in. I've thrown a lot of seeds out here. This is like one of the worst places. I cannot get anything to be really happy right here. And that's a Sweet Hermione rose, and I'm kind of ready to pull that out. It's not happy. We got two little pretty porterweeds right here, but again, in the gravel. I'm going to try to move them next to that one, but nothing's happy there. So this fall or next spring, I'm really going to try to see again with some different things, see if I can find something that would be happy there. And if I can get really some gomphrena, if I could get some to all this volunteered. I didn't plant any of this gomphrena here. If it would scoot back further, I think I would be happier with that. Oh, let me show you. Here's one little pretty vignette that is looking good. Echinacea and some Mystic Spires salvia. I think that looks really nice. All my roses, woof. They just look, they're struggling. They're on the struggle bus. And my volunteer oak tree, this on the struggle bus. Okay, here's what I did. I did indeed take all of the purple hyacinth bean vine that was looking so awful. I took it off of this one, this little obelisk, and I took it off of that one. And so it's empty, but they're pretty little shapes. And so I feel like it looks okay, even though there's nothing growing on them. And in here, this is where my Peter's Purple Monarda is, and it's just, it really dies to the ground when it gets hot. There's a little bit, I sort of tucked it up inside of this little obelisk right there, just to kind of get it off the ground. So there's stuff under the ground here, but it looks so bad, y'all. So I put a little pot here just to try to put some kind of color. It's so empty. And then I did cut back. I have more of that salvia, and I cut all the salvia back. But you can see, let me see if I can step back here. You can see, like, I trim that back a little bit, and look, it's lots of new growth in that little one there. Lots of new little growth. So, you know, oh, and this one, look at that. Look how good that looks. And that was just goofy and terrible 2 weeks ago. I trimmed it back. I tried to make sure I left, because you know, you don't want to just ruin the plant, because you're trimming very hard when it's 96 degrees outside. But so I was careful about leaving some, cutting some, but gosh, it just looks so nice. A noisy day for y'all with the blue jay. Mrs. Doubtfire, can you see her up on the fence? Are you hiding? Are you taking a nap on the fence? You're pretty cute. Anyway, and I also noticed that my grass really bloomed again. It had some inflorescences going, right? But I looked out here and thought, man, there's way more. There's lots of new ones. See this? The older ones are puffed out, but the newer ones, there's a lot of newer ones coming, and I'm really thrilled with that. And then you can see that gomphrena that I planted back behind it. So even though this is very bare, you know, I really want I don't want to see the ground. So this is very bare, but I feel like this is the best. This is as good as it's going to get when we're in a flash drought and in this crazy heat. Looky-loo, finally, Salvia leucantha, my little fall bloomer. So pretty. These are velvety. If you don't know about this plant, y'all, it's native to Mexico. It's called Mexican bush sage, but also a lot of people call it a Texas native. I choose to believe that this has jumped the Rio Grande and is on its own and has made it to Texas, and this is a native Texas plant, but it's definitely a Mexico plant. It's so beautiful, isn't it? Just fabulous. And it's like velvet. It's fuzzy. So I've been waiting, and I do clip this back all year so that it has a nice shape to it. If I leave it alone, I have found that it just reaches for the sun. It gets so tall, and then it just falls over. So I do clip that. Everything, so wilty, y'all. So wilty. And I've got a lot of pots that don't look great. It's a lot of wilty, sad things. I've trimmed some things back. Right, I trimmed some things back and fertilized it, and it still looks terrible. And I bought all these beautiful elephant ears, and they just keep falling over. So I'm sort of letting some of them lean up against Fred the lion. But not everything looks terrific out here. Now, I do have some new things, like this little, whatever was in here looked terrible. I can't remember what it was now. And so I put some little begonias. They were sort of on the sale rack, and I think they look really pretty, kind of jammed in there. And hopefully they'll make it through the year. I have less luck having a small, sort of traditional begonia make it be long-lived. The angel wing / dragon wing, depending on what you call it, depending on what your mama called it, is kind of the way I feel about it. My mom called them angel wings, but I know people call them dragon wing. These have been long-lived for me, and I've been able to keep them going for years and years, as long as I, drag them in during a freeze. But I think they're longer lived. This is another angel wing, and I clipped this back really hard a month ago, and so it's already trying to bloom again. It still looks ratty because it's too hot. It's too hot, y'all. More floppy caladiums, and then I did find, this was a terrible looking begonia. Look at that begonia. Isn't that gorgeous? I think I bought that at H-E-B, y'all. For those of you who don't live in Texas, H-E-B is the grocery store. It's like a local grocery store. And they're the ones that have those native plants, but they also have other pretty things. And so, yay on that one. And my little, now this is not a heritage penta. This is just a little one. And I have just kept it clipped and deadheaded. And I think it looks real cute. The pots are just hanging on. I feel like everything out here is just hanging on, white knuckling it through. This is a bird pepper, chili pekin. It's native to Texas. Very spicy peppers. They call it bird pepper because birds will eat these. And I have collected a bunch of little seeds I'm going to try. It is a shade plant, and a native shade plant that is a bird resource. That I'm interested in that, right? And so I've thought about putting this in the ground, but I'm going to see if I can grow some from seed, and I'd love to have a bunch of it back in here, to have something that looks good, native, feeds the birds. I'm interested. Hi, buddy. What are you doing, Mr. Chunky Monkey? Oh, you're such a chunky baby. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I'll take you back here. Look how pretty. Look at the 4 o'clocks. Aren't they lovely? Love the 4 o'clocks. So pretty, so pretty. It's a little ratty back here, and my little olive tree is looking kind of nice. Now I have all of these. This is all Gulf Coast penstemon, and I've grown a bunch of it. It's very easy to grow from seed, and the ones I have under my little cloches look great. But I think they look wilty. I water them. Squirrels come and dig them up. I think they're either looking for something that they see that damp soil as something that is attractive to them. And so I came out and it's like, oh, that looks really terrible. It's just because they've literally ripped it out of the ground. And so I struggle with this. It's so beautiful, but I struggle with whether it's worth it. It's worth the trouble that I go to. More giant pentas. More here. The hummingbirds, this is what I'm seeing them come to. This is Amistad salvia, and it's still gigantic. It's as tall as the bottom of the garage there. And then this is that Salvia madrensis that I bemoaned the fact that it should be blooming and have big bloom spikes 10 days ago. And I feel like I've finally got, look, now this is supposed to be a bloom spike that's 10 or 12 inches high, but I do have a bit of a bloom spike, a bit of a peak of yellow flower. I still don't know why it's so stunted, and maybe it won't be. Maybe I'm trying to make sure I water it. It didn't seem distressed, but I have some hopes that I may get little bloom spikes, but again, if anybody is watching and has a thought of why it is not blooming with there's somebody I watch her YouTube channel, and hers 15 miles from me are already have huge blooms on them, and so I'm trying to figure out why this is so stunted and pitiful. Even though it is 5 feet tall, the bloom spikes are not doing what they're supposed to. So if you have an idea, I would love your advice on that. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about how it looks just with the sort of naked obelisks instead of those scruffy vines. They just weren't really blooming, and I think this looks okay like this, even though there's so much ground just showing and so many things that are not blooming. I feel like that looks nice, and I like the look of these beautiful inflorescences on this grass, and then through the inflorescences you can see this little ocean of pink. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope it is cooler and rainier for you than it is here for me, because here we are not happy. We are not happy with the weather. Y'all take care. Oh, Buttercup, say goodbye. Say goodbye. Take care. Bye-bye.